Hello, Life Vantage. Aaron Jensen coming to you today again from Salt Lake City, Utah, from our global headquarters. I'm here in our media room, and today is a continuation of our doctor series. And today we have Dr. Chad Luxenberg that's going to be joining us, and I'm looking forward to this. I was just with Dr. Luxenberg days ago at some of our events in Tampa Bay, Florida. So it's good to have him with us today. Before we get started and jump into some of our product information, I just wanted to again thank you for joining us today, whether you're watching this live or if you're watching it throughout the week. And thanks for everyone for joining. And I wanted to remind you that we're giving away product. Today, we're going to be giving away our Pro Tandem Nerf 1. And to be in the drawing, we need you to comment. What I'd like you to do is write your name and your city and state down. We'll do a drawing, and those that have put down their name, city, and state in the comment sections will be eligible for the drawing. So anyway, with that, again, welcome everyone. I see people jumping on. But since the majority are going to be watching this afterwards, we'll just jump into the interview. So as I mentioned, we have Dr. Chad Luxenberg with us. Dr. Luxenberg is an ophthalmologist and surgeon, and he has 35 years of private practice in Tampa Bay, Florida. He is on our medical advisory board for the company, and we want to thank him for his service there. As well as he is a fellow of the American College of Surgeons. And with that, I'd like to welcome Dr. Luxenberg with us. Dr. Luxenberg, thank you for joining us today.
Well, first of all, thank you for the honor of being on. Thank you for all you do for the company. We all love you, and we think that you're really taking us in a great direction, and we appreciate all the experience you have in the industry. I'd also like to thank God for allowing me to reach this moment in time.
Well, thank you for your kind words, and really it's an honor to serve such great people like yourself, such professionals that we have involved with this, and for you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and to share some information with product for us. So with that, let me first ask a question. What I found very interesting with LifeVantage is that we have a tremendous number of medical professionals and other professionals like yourself that are part of our company. I know as a physician and as a surgeon that you probably have pharmaceutical reps lined outside the door trying to get in and talk to you about their medications or their products. And with that said, let me just say that as a general disclaimer, any statement that we make today has not been evaluated by the FDA, and the products are not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent disease. Thought I better get that in really quick. Anyway, with that said, people are always trying to get in to speak with you. What was your journey to LifeVantage? How did you get here, and why did you make that decision? I mean, what influenced you?
Well, really what happened is my former wife has a arthritis condition, an autoimmune inflammatory arthritis, and someone she worked with recommended that she try Pro Tandem, and it worked so well after 10 weeks that her symptoms were significantly abated. And we're not saying that Pro Tandem diagnoses, treats, or cures any disease, but we do know that it has a profound effect on cellular metabolism, and it's anti-inflammatory. And in this case, the results were quite extraordinary, and that got me interested. And then I went to what at the time was Premier School, and after 4 hours of listening, I was hooked, and that's when I joined about 4 years ago.
Okay. So with that, one other thing that has always impressed me about LifeVantage has been the quality of products, that they're based on proven science. They're based, that there are a lot of studies that back up the technology. One of the newer products that we have out is, as I held up a little bit earlier, our Protandem Nerf 1. Can you tell us a little bit about that product? Why would it be so important to take? And so when the layperson that's not a medical professional like yourself, when we think about that product, because I mean, we know a lot about Protandem NRF2, not many people don't know about the NRF1 as much. Why should I take that? And why should I take it in combination? Why should I be using the product?
Well, we're at the same state scientifically right now that we were in the beginning with the NRF2 pathway, which was first discovered in 1999, and first time that somebody really made a preparation to stimulate it effectively was 2003. So if you think about all these 23 peer-reviewed articles we have on NRF2 and Protandem, now we have the beginnings of studies on NRF1. But NRF1 has to do with the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. And it is very, very important. And the NRF1 pathway helps to prevent mitochondrial dysfunction, and it stimulates the cell to make more mitochondria. So you want more energy, not less. And as you get older, one of the problems that leads to neurodegenerative diseases is not having enough power to fuel your nerve tissue. And this is very important to have something that stimulates more mitochondria to be produced, to make them function well, and to run smoothly. So I think that's why it's so exciting.
So with that, you know, when you said that we're just beginning with some of these studies that are coming out on mitochondrial degradation and health, they've just begun testing them in the last, decade or so. That really goes to, just reinforces my belief and understanding that we're really positioned really in a critical part of technology today. That we're at the beginning stages of these new technologies of biohacking and of nutrigenomics, and that it's really exciting that we have the opportunity to be pioneers in this area. I mean, is that some of your thoughts too? I mean,
absolutely. Nutrigenomics is a brave new world. It's the way I think health is going to be heading. We almost have established understanding with NRF2, and it is amazing how effective it can be with antioxidant production, an increase in anti-inflammatory effect, decreased scarring, decreased inflammation. But we now have another thing we can do for cellular physiology, which is to address in another way the whole antioxidant and free radical concept. Because if you realize that the cell has these furnaces called mitochondria, and they are doing the oxidative metabolism, that's where the free radicals come from. And the free radicals, which can damage the cell, can damage the special DNA that is in the mitochondria. And as a matter of fact, damage to mitochondrial DNA leads to mutations and dysfunction and neurodegeneration. So we really need to protect the mitochondria the way we protect the cell overall with antioxidant production. And when you think about it, LifeVantage is all about synergy. Synergy between the products, the distributors, and the front office. Synergy between the way we do our business and the way people use the products. And now we can say we have synergy between NRF2 Protandem and NRF1 Protandem. Because if NRF1 Protandem increases output of oxidative metabolism and more energy, more free radicals are made. So it's even more important to have NRF2 around so the antioxidants can meet the threat of the increase in NRF1 type mitochondrial function.
All right. I see a few questions coming through here in the comments, and I want to encourage everyone to comment through it, because if I get some good questions coming in, I see one from Michelle here. Michelle, I don't think that I can ask that question right now. That may take us into too medical of a question. And, I want to make sure that we don't begin making medical claims on the call in any way. But if you do have questions, please send them in. I'll pose those to the doctors. So go ahead and ask those. But let me first ask a question to those that are watching. If you take Protandim Nerf 2 and Nerf 1 together, why don't you text 1? If you're only taking Nerf 2, why don't you comment just with the number 2? Okay? I'd like to see how many people are taking them together. So, Dr. Luxenberg, let me pose a question to you on. All right, so I begin taking Nerf 1. How am I going to feel, or what are some of the signs that, how should I feel when I start taking it? How do I notice if it's working?
Well, we did a study, the company did, 37 individuals, healthy individuals, and they did a questionnaire at the start, at 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 8 weeks. And pretty much everyone reported having better sleep patterns with increased dreams and rapid eye movement sleep, deep sleep, and feeling more refreshed and energetic. And there was even people said they had decreased pain, I guess soreness, not pain from a particular problem, but soreness, etc. So all of those things are possible. Some people say that Nerf 1 makes them sleepy, so they take it at night. I actually take mine with breakfast with my Nerf 2, and I have no problem with that. And the study was actually done by people taking both together. So all the good results we got were done with it being taken together.
Yeah, I know when we've run through some usage studies here at the office and with broader groups, that was a question that we noticed with some people that it kind of made them tired. I know with me it was more energetic, and like you, Dr. Luxenberg, I take mine in the morning and I don't have any issues at all. But I have run into people that take it at night. So let me pose that question to those that are watching. If you take the product in the morning, why don't you put a number 1? And if you take it in the evening, put number 2. And so I'm assuming if you put number 2 that it's causing you to be sleepy. And so I'm just kind of wondering of those that are watching how it affects them, and that might give us an idea. I'm just curious. So I'm seeing it come back. I see immediately 4 1s and 2 2s. Now they're starting to scroll, so I don't know. But I see mostly 1s. I see a few 2s in there. So it looks like it's split. Why do you think some people experience a little bit of tiredness from taking it while other people feel energized?
I really don't know. Everything that you take in can have a different effect on each individual, obviously. There are things that are supposed to be relaxing that make some people hyper. There are things that are supposed to get you stimulated that make other people sleepy. So I'm not sure what changes in metabolism might do that. I don't think there's any problem with it. I think you just tailor your own body's response with when you want to take it. And with me, it's just easy to take everything in the morning with breakfast. And I know that Dr. Mark Gordon had always recommended that NRF2 was good to be taken in the morning with breakfast, so that's how I started using it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Well, let's talk a little bit about Nerf 1. I know similar to Nerf 2, it also has 5 ingredients in it. Can you talk a little bit about the ingredients, maybe tell us any information you might have, why we have them in there, how they work synergistically together to support mitochondrial health?
Well, I think it's a brilliant preparation because what we did is we took the brilliance of NRF2 and the concept of synergy, and we recapitulated it when we wanted to stimulate the NRF1 pathway. As you know, when Dr. McCord invented Protandim NRF2, he used 5 herbal substances that all had a history of increasing antioxidant levels. But he took very low doses of each of the 5, so there would be no possible way to get significant side effects from using those herbs, because they were low enough dose not to give a side effect, but the synergy of the 5 together brought you the necessary effect. And as you know, the study on humans that was done in 2009 showed an 1,800%, an 18 times increase in effect when protandim NRF2 is used in one pill rather than each of the 5 ingredients separately at the same dose on the same day. Now, the same concept is in play with NRF1. So you can't really look at either of these as what they are. I think it's much more than the sum of the parts. I think that ashwagandha, for example, in NRF2, is supposed to be a pro-inflammatory substance. But when incorporated in protandim NRF2, there is no pro-inflammatory effect. So when I would look at the fact that CoQ10 is in NRF1, I'm not looking at the effects of CoQ10 necessarily. I'm looking at the effects of the entire pill together, or in that case, capsule. And I think of these as separate substances. Again, I don't say, wow, there's CoQ10, you don't have to take CoQ10. No, NRF1 protandim has specific effects on sleep, on mitochondrial biogenesis, and protection of the mitochondrial DNA. So I think that all 5 things together at low doses create a whole new substance with different properties.
I think we also see that in the study that was conducted by the National Institute of Aging. They had tested many of the components that were part of NRF2 to see if there was any type of life extension, and they didn't find it, but they found it in the combination that we had. And I think it's part of that synergy that you're talking to about it. It just magnified everything. So, listen, we've mentioned NRF1, NRF2. Why do you think it's critical that we take those that we take them, that we take both products as opposed to just taking one or the other?
Well, what I've been struck with, I do a Sunday night call every Sunday night at 8:30 Eastern Time. And I have been reviewing articles about oxidative stress, particularly ones that mention protandim, various disorders, and there's always at least a page on mitochondria now on all of these articles. So what's happening is people are understanding the special role that the mitochondria has in the cell, as well as the genome, the nucleus. So I think that we have a tremendous ability with our company to address 2 needs and give you the synergy. Again, the NRF2 protects you from too many free radicals from increased metabolism. The mitochondrial protection protects those areas in the mitochondria, the DNA, from getting damaged from the free radicals. And mitochondrial dysfunction is the cause of a many number of neurodegenerative diseases, such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, according to many people. One thing people don't realize is that mitochondria have another function other than the energy function. And that function is to recycle proteins. When they get damaged and they get old, they are destroyed and the raw materials are used to make new proteins. If you don't recycle your proteins properly, they collect with toxic substances. And for example, on Alzheimer's, there's a particular substance that develops in the nerve cell, and it's left there, and it's thought to choke out the normal functioning of the nerve and possibly cause dysfunction and death of the nerve tissue. For example, in the eye, there's evidence that in macular degeneration, there is mitochondrial dysfunction, and there's not good recycling of pigment. And the thing you see in aging macular degeneration is a change in the pigment in what we call the retinal pigment epithelium. So perhaps the problem is dysfunction of mitochondria leading to accumulation of pigment, which we then see as what we call drusen, which is the first sign that somebody has macular degeneration.
So it was interesting. You're talking about how the body breaks down proteins, recycles those. I'm trying to remember back to my college and high school physiology classes. Is that the autophagy process? Is that
autophagy is part of that, right?
Okay. Yeah. Be interesting if we could find something that would speed up that process. Might be something to look into. All right. So we've talked about taking it together. We've talked about the various ingredients. What about people that, let's say that I already have a customer, somebody using Nerf 2. How would I present them, or how would you talk to them about taking Nerf 1 also with it? I mean, how would you describe, okay, I'm taking this product, how would I take, why should I take Nerf 1 too? And while you're thinking of that, let me just remind everybody, again, post your name, your city, and your state down to win some Nerf 1. And also just a reminder that any statements that are made on here have not been evaluated by the FDA, and that our products are not intended to diagnose, treat, or prevent disease. So back to the question, Dr. Luxenberg, how would you, kind of in layman's terms, because, I mean, you're a doctor, you're a surgeon, how would you recommend we describe it?
Well, actually, I went to a lecture that Brandon Cunningham was doing recently, and he was talking about the triangle of natural health, which is decreased inflammation, increased energy, and intestinal health. And that is our activated essentials. So I am now recommending to every patient I see that they consider doing an activated essentials pack, because I think that the three things together are tremendous for people's overall health. And we always say that prevention is far better than treatment. So we like to prevent macular degeneration, not worry about treating it. We want to prevent glaucoma. We want to go ahead and have neuroprotection of the optic nerve, and for the whole body as well. I'm thinking more in terms of the eye because my patients come to me for that. But I think that that triangle of natural health is a huge concept. Decrease inflammation with NRF2, increase antioxidants. Increase energy and make sure the mitochondria stay functioning properly and don't get mutations in its DNA. That's the energy part of the triangle. And then, of course, the probiotic we have, which is a highly effective probiotic, and which is really one that I can highly recommend. So that's really where I come from when I try to talk about mixing the three things together.
What about from an age standpoint? Let's say I have teenagers or others. As a physician, I mean, we always recommend from a company standpoint that, if they're not an adult, to always check with their physician. From a physician standpoint, what are your thoughts on taking a supplement like Nerf 1 or a Nerf 2? What would you recommend to your patients?
Well, the earlier you start, the better chance you have of extended health span and extended lifespan. If you looked at that study with the National Institute of Aging, you really get the feeling that the earlier you start involving these kinds of herbs in your diet and doing these kinds of things, the better chance that you will get that increased health span and lifespan. If you start when you're older, it will help, but there are things that have already gone on that may not be reversible. Why not prevent those things from happening by starting when you are healthy? Again, prevention is much better than treatment, and giving someone 5 years extra of healthy life, which is the prediction from the animal study when Protandim was used, that's incredible. But remember, health span is so important because you don't just want to live to a long age. You want to be healthy and enjoy every day while you live to that long age.
With the product, and this could be with, let's say, Nerf 1, Nerf 2, because we encourage you to take them both together. Are you aware of any conditions where, medically they shouldn't be taking it? There's some contraindication with something. or is it generally, good for most, most conditions? I'm not saying it treats the conditions, but let's say that I'm older, I may have some health concerns with me. Is there anything that I should be looking out for or specifically address with my physician?
Well, as you know, the company still does not recommend using NRF2 Protandim in people that have had a major organ transplant. And I think that may just be to be cautious, because those people have a very delicate balance before they might get into a rejection phase. But other than that, the only thing I would say is allergy, of course, can always happen in anything you take. And also, you want to be careful if you're on Coumadin, because it may enhance the effect of the Coumadin, which is not a bad thing, because if you get your blood tested at regular intervals the way you should, you would notice that your Coumadin is working better and you get a chance to lower your dose. And that's certainly good to lower the dose of Coumadin that you need. So that's the only things I know about. And that's the beauty of what we talked about earlier. This is very, very low dose. The 5 ingredients in either product are at a very low dose. They will not do really anything on their own. They won't give you the CoQ10 effects from the CoQ10 in NRF1. They won't give you the effects of turmeric from the turmeric in NRF2. But it lowers the possibility of side effects.
All right, well, thank you. As I recall, on an earlier doctor series, I think we had, and I'm trying to remember her name off the top of my head, but we had a pharmacologist on, and she had went in, I think, a little bit more in depth too. And I think a question like that had come up, and she had talked a little bit about the Coumadin issue. So I can't remember exactly the answer, but thank you for touching on that. Well, I'm looking at our time, and it's running low. So let me just, again, remind everyone that we are doing a drawing for our Nerf 1. Whoops, let me get it on the screen here, figure out which way I have to move it. If you're interested in getting it, please put in your name and your city and state, and we'll enter you in a drawing for it, as well as, thank you for joining us today. We're glad to have everyone with us. And Dr. Luxenberg, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know your office, you're seeing patients, and you're able to work us into your schedule to really share your knowledge and wisdom with everyone, and we're all better for it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It has been an honor to join with you, and anytime I can do anything for the company and our distributors or customers, I would always want to.
Thank you. And just a reminder for everyone watching that tomorrow at this same time at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, I'll also be continuing on our leadership interview with Dr. Skip Campbell and his wife Jill, and they'll be sharing with us a lot of business insights. So again, Dr. Luxenberg, thank you for your service on our medical advisory board, and thank you for taking the time today. We're glad to have you on.
Thank you, and God bless.
All right, God bless you. See everyone later. Bye.